listening to the White Wall Sessions Radio.
Welcome to the White Wall Sessions Radio. I'm your host, Dan Schaefer. On tonight's show, part 2 of Pushing Chain, Barbaro, and John Slapp. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter by searching The White Wall Sessions. We are now accepting submissions for Season 7. To submit, go to whitewallsessions.com. The White Wall Sessions would like to thank these fine sponsors for their support. Last Stop CD Shop, Bell Incorporated, Workplace IT Management, J. Rick Luthery, The University Center, Screen Flare, The Pink Moon Room, Club David, Great Outdoor Store, local branded convenience stores, Minuteman Press, Vishnu Bunny Tattoo and Piercing, and South Dakota Friends of Traditional Music. With a history spanning over 20 years, the duo Pushing Chain has been around the nation performing roughly 200 shows a year. The duo performed for us back in Season 3, and we couldn't wait to have them back for another performance. The Minnesota Natives just recently released their newest album, Sorrows Always Swim, which is available now. Pushing Chain is Boyd Blomberg, guitar and vocals, and Adam Moe on fiddle and vocals.
Excuse me. Take 3.
Year after year, I've played the fool, never given too much thought about knowing all the rules. Now day by day, I've come to know what a real love can be when it beckons from below. If you should ever want to see me again, you said the future's long and now we're waiting on an end. If you should ever want to see me again, tell me when and where, and I promise I'll be there. Mile after mile, I drove all night to your door. When all is said and done, who am I to want some more? Now inch by inch, I'm crawling out of this lonesome hole where I've been living note to note. If you should ever want to see me again, you said the future's long and now we're waiting on an end. If you should ever want to see me again, Tell me when and where, and I promise I'll be there. Baby, I know you really care. Baby, I know you're playing fair. Baby, I know someday you'll tell me when and where. This I promise I'll be there. If you should ever want to see me again, you say the future's long and now we're waiting on an end. If you should ever want to see me again, tell me when and where, and I promise I'll be there. Just tell me when and where, and I promise I'll be there.
We got to talk about the Goonie Birds just for a little bit. That was a band I saw back in the 80s.
I'm going to run to the bathroom while you
Once upon a time. Gather round, kids.
tell us of the Goonie Birds, grandfather.
But haven't you played recently? And Adam, haven't you been in that too?
Sure, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Mostly I'll sing harmony, but a couple tunes I'll do
play
some
some
fiddle.
It was a great experience. We started playing when we were about 19 and traveled around the country. It was great. The band over the years has seen some tragedy. We lost our singing drummer, Steve Rumler, 8 years ago to a heroin overdose. And Jessica Schwartzbauer, that sang with us, passed away due to a domestic violence. She was murdered by her husband.
Oh, my.
And so I've seen a lot of tragedy, but we still play, and at least 3 times a year we did a Caboose reunion show. We have a standing gig. A couple of our old fans own Excelsior Brewing outside of Minneapolis in Excelsior, Minnesota. So we play their Oktoberfest every year. And so a few things like that. We're going down to New Orleans. Old fan of ours, Kelsey. We're playing her wedding next March, which will be a gas.
That's awesome.
Right? In New Orleans, you kidding me?
And an old fan getting married and wants to leave the band. That's
You're
pretty
right.
cool. But is that healthy for the duo to be doing sort of different projects now and again?
Yeah, and
I think it would be healthier actually if we did that more sometimes.
Right.
But again, economically, we can't step away from the calendar and say,
This is
I'm
our
going to
number-
take this 2 weeks off and do this.
Right.
Because this is what we do.
Yeah.
So
last year we did 198 dates together.
Wow.
as Pushing Chain. It's
pretty aggressive.
And then I run an open mic in the winter. Some weeknights I'll do some solo gigs, and then I play a few times a year, half a dozen times with a little string band called Spruce Roots up in Cook County where I live. And Adam sits in with people and does some recording dates and whatever. So, yeah,
Sure. So we've had a lot of great fiddle players on this show. Mm-hmm. But Adam, damn.
Oh, well, thanks.
I mean, you've got a lot going on there, and how do you approach the fiddle in a song? I mean, to me, it's kind of like a lead guitar or a solo almost, right?
A little bit. There's kind of two ways I look at it. Well, first, I try and stay out of the way of vocals, when I can. But there's two things. There's like that lead guitar thing where you're taking, you're playing a lot of notes, but it also can be used almost like a B3 organ, like a bass sort of wash underneath. So you'll see like a lot of long bowing. And
I'm going to interject. Adam plays a 5-string fiddle as well. Oh. So he's got one more than most.
I have one more.
And that's a low C, so he can really drone that thing down there. And I sing, I'm a baritone down in the basement a little bit anyway, so it really works well with what we're doing.
That extra string really is nice, and depending on the song, of course, but you can get that nice drone, and it's pretty
having
good.
an extra string makes you much more smarter.
Makes me, well, I don't know. It makes my fiddle a little bit wider.
He got it that night, or got it during the, you've been playing for a couple years now, I suppose.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
He took one to audition from Gary Barteg, a fellow that builds him up in Minneapolis, and he used it at the 318, which is a listening room gig that we play. We have a little residence once a month we play there. And he played it that night, and then hasn't set it down since. And like I've picked up 7-string guitars and I'm scratching my head. It's like everything's all messed up.
The most I'm ever going to play it at one time is 2 notes, so it's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you approach your piece of the song, do you sort of play the same thing, every night with that song, or does it change up a bit, or
Again, it depends on the song, but a lot of times I'll find something that really works and keep it, but I never write anything down because I don't read music. So there's always going to be little changes here and there, but the gist of it will be there. And there's times, like he said 198 times last year, play a song and I'll try something different and he'll look over like, was it a mistake or not? Because you're used to hearing it a certain way.
Right.
But I guess after a certain point, it starts to find a hole and sort of stay there. You find that kind of place to be.
And we're not big on rehearsing, so but we love playing live. So when things are really flowing, like they say when the music plays the band, then you can start to step out a little bit vocally or instrumentally or whatever it is.
It was spring in the hills, the year of 58. I was 14 years old when I learned to ride that beat. The cowpox took bar and my little sister too, and I knew right then what I had to do. No, I am a cowboy out riding the range. I'll see stars up above, spelling out your sweet name. I could be back in some old town with you by my side. Well, as cowboys were born to ride. So as I wrapped up my bedroll paws, coat was on my side. Mama kissed me on the cheek, here's warm biscuits for the ride. And out to old Truth's Cleaves for real large concern. And a tear in my eye and it still burns. I am a cowboy out riding the range. I'll see stars up above, spelling out your sweet name. I could be back in some old town with you by my side. Well, as cowboys were born to ride, yeah. When I got to old Truth's Cleaves, he said, sure you want to ride, son? It's hard work and it's something for a man twice your size. Yes, I surely do that as I walk through your door. Well, a cowboy's life won't be nothing more. No, I am a cowboy out riding the range. I'll see stars up above, spelling out your sweet name. I could be back in some old town with you by my side. Well, as cowboys were born to ride. We're now been riding fences, every gulch and every draw, every canyon that holds water, all went long before the thaw. Almost turned me toward the town life when I let me slow relieve. Never settle down, that ain't no life for me. No, I am a cowboy out riding in the range. I see stars up above spelling out your sweet name. I could be back in some old town with you by my side. Well, as cowboys were born to ride. Yes, cowboys were born to ride. I said cowboys were born to ride.
Coming up after the break, Barbaro.
You're listening to the White Wall Sessions Radio.
Barbaro, an award-winning bluegrass team from Minneapolis, Minnesota, delivered their unique style and bluegrass sensibilities to an engaged studio audience. The band is Kyle Shellstead on guitar and vocals, Rachel Calvert on fiddle and vocals, newcomer Jason Wells on bass, and Isaac Samis on banjo. The band recently released their self-titled EP and is looking forward to a full album release this spring.
Settle down a little bit, Barbaro, it's all for the crown. Take it off now. Bringing all them shutters from Atlanta and Green Banks. Off in this place. One of these days, hanging on the paradigm of fresh cut grass and fast horses. Often in May, tearing through the corridor of those that couldn't cut the corner. Through them breeding all these lawsuits laid down. To the old green and silver skies painted black on all four trims, bringing all them shutters from Atlanta and Green Banks off in display. One of these days, hanging on the paradigm of fresh cut grass and fast horses. Often in May, staring through the corridor of those that couldn't cut the corner. Through them breeding all these losses laid down.
Thank you.
So how long have you been playing fiddle? Or is it a violin?
That's a good. So I always answer that question with it depends how much whiskey I've had that day. My mom was a violin teacher, and I started playing violin when I was 4, and I grew up playing classical music, and then kind of tried some new stuff in college, and accidentally fell into the bluegrass scene when I moved back to the Twin Cities as an adult, and here I am, and I love it. It's really, and I think like a lot of us came to bluegrass from different like musical backgrounds, so we all bring in kind of like unusual like tropes or like sound ideas, and that's I think part of the reason why we have the sound that we do.
Yeah, so what are some of those musical backgrounds? I mean, were you always attracted to bluegrass, or did you come from completely different styles?
Rachel, do you want to start this one?
Well, I didn't start listening to bluegrass until I started playing bluegrass, and you know, like violin is kind of like a niche, and like it's easier to find a guitar player than a violinist. So I just like people would be looking for that. So I do like a really bad job at first and like try to figure it out. And then I really, really got into, I don't know, a whole new world of music I hadn't really listened to before. And now that's like all I listen to. So I definitely fell into it by accident, but it's a really happy accident.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how about you guys?
What did you listen to growing up though?
I listen to a lot of classical music and like a lot of classic rock, like dad rock, like Led Zeppelin, that whole fun time.
Sure.
And then like when I became like young adulthood, like 18, 19, I got really, really into pop music, and like there's something that's so like exciting and accessible. And we have a couple songs that I sing, and they're all like just Barbaro spin on like the best pop songs ever written. So
I see, that would be fun.
Yeah.
What about you, Isaac?
My dad was has been playing piano since he was about 18, and my mom is really into theater and singing, and so they both kind of pushed me into music. I started playing piano when I was about 6, then guitar when I was about 10, and I ended up studying classical guitar in school as my major. And I picked up the banjo. I was like 19 or 20 or something like that, and it was after hearing Flight of the Cosmic Hippo from Bela Fleck, which is like the classic story. But I just never thought a banjo could move beyond bluegrass music, and so that was really cool. So I try to bring that classical guitar influence into the instrument as much as I can, but still want to play those sweet Bela Fleck licks.
Well, you can do a lot with the banjo. I mean, it's just very much like bass. You know, you don't have to do this what everyone thinks you're supposed to. Because you were doing a lot on that. You know, you were doing the normal bluegrass stuff, but then you were doing a lot of really cool stuff up the neck.
Yeah, trying to be as creative as I can, and I hope people walk away thinking that same thing.
Yeah. What about you, Kyle?
Well, I grew up, my dad loved Kenny Loggins, Michael McDonald, and there's one other that he would play all the time. That really didn't catch much of my attention. And so
I didn't say a darn thing.
I ended up listening to like a lot of Grateful Dead when I was younger, and that kind of stuff. Folk music as well. So I kind of come from a folk background, and then I got into a lot of jazz music and hip hop and things like that. But primarily folk, I would say, is my goal in songwriting is to write a folk tune.
Yeah. And Jason, we kind of talked a little bit, but where was your passion?
Yeah, a little bit more in depth. I grew up listening to a lot of hip hop and also soul music. So my mom was a big 70s, 80s soul singer. We always had this radio on every morning that we listened to, just like all the old hits. Yeah. That I know the words to all the songs. Don't ask me who they're by, but. Yeah, so that's what I grew up on, and I came to the bass when I was 10. So it was a little later, and I have not played another instrument. So the bass has been, kind of my first love from the get-go. Yeah. So I took it to it, and then I played classical, went to music schools, and do that whole thing, and bluegrass has been definitely very, very recent. Before coming to the band, I hadn't played bluegrass. I hadn't really listened to much bluegrass, and playing with these guys coming in and seeing what they do. It's like the first time I came in, I was like, whoa, what is this? It's like a whole new kind of world opened up. So
I can see that, yeah. And well, so the diversity of the backgrounds here, and when you bring it in, I think you may be, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're maybe going for a bluegrass, but it's starting to turn into what it is, right?
Yeah, I think the goal of this, I think one of the goals of this band is to make it as accessible as possible. So we're trying to make music that isn't just stuck in one genre or one, market, ideally, if you want to put it that way. We're trying to make it as accessible as possible. So like drawing on some of those pop influences, trying to make songs a little bit more,
like that really like satisfying like emotional access and like the satisfying chord changes that like your ears just like want to hear. We're not afraid of those.
We were told to take our time tuning, so we apologize.
While it goes into passion in words you never said, and all my hopes are sprinkled like the words you never said. Put my words straight to the test on the pages that were left. Close in January, better when it's cold, and all my woes are built on bits of freakish brain attacks. And I know just what I lack, been told a time or two, in fact. A time or two, in fact. If time is what I lack, it's all a part of waking up and making the bed real nice. Like Aunt Betty always said, it's all just in your head. It's all just in your head. Close in January, bitter when it's cold, and all my woes are built on bits of freakish brain attacks. And I know just what I lack, been told the time or two, in fact. A time or two, in fact. If time is what I lack, it's all a part of waking up and making the bed real nice. Like Aunt Betty always said, it's all just in your head. It's all just in your head.
Coming up after the break, John Slapp.
You are listening to the White Wall Sessions Radio.
John Slapp brought his electric guitar and 6 incredibly talented friends to a season 6 session where they rocked the house.
It's that neck, that's why.
The band is John Slapp Myers on guitar and vocals, Phil Doe on drums, Adam Jones on guitar, Nate Brown on bass, Tim Muntz on lead guitar, Laura Egan on trumpet, and Carl Graber on trombone.
You tried to look back on yesterday, but you drew some blanks. You find it harder to lay your head down at night, but you radiate. It's not fair, yeah, yeah. It's okay. You fell in love with the wrong girl, but you wonder why. You know she'll enter your dreams from time to time.
All right, thank you. That one felt good.
Were you sort of playing guitar and singing in the Amadon Affair, or were you bass?
I was just bass guitar.
Okay, so is this your first project where you're sort of the focal point?
Well, like with the Amadon Affair, I mean, I like I said, I wrote 50% of the songs on guitar, and I primarily tracked all the rhythm guitars and bass guitars on both of the CDs that we put out.
So when you wrote these songs, you said that you kind of became a friend thing, but did you hear all those parts when you were writing them? Certainly the horns, and there was 3 guitars up here. Did you write for that, or did they happen after the songs were there?
No, I just wrote like just the basic structure of the songs, like the main rhythm parts and everything, and then I wrote the horn parts. And then just reach out to Adam, because Adam Jones plays on one of the songs, and was like, just write an additional guitar part for it. I reached out to another friend, write additional guitar player. Same with Tim. There's 2 songs, perfect. I want you to write 2, just do whatever, And so, yeah, that's kind of how it worked.
So it's kind of unique. I was talking to Adam earlier, and you write, or you're tuned to E flat.
Yeah.
Is that because of the horns, or is that a preference for you?
I don't know. Maybe it's like a voice thing. Like when you're singing, it's a little easier. You don't have to sing so high.
Yeah.
When you're tuned to concert pitch, but I don't know. It's like when we were in the Amadon Affair, we always tuned our guitars to E flat, and I'm just used to it. I'm just always have a guitar at home tuned to E flat. So,
Yeah.
but when I play with burlap, it's all in concert pitch. So, yeah.
So you're playing bass there, so that's a little bit different, I guess. But
Yeah, just a half step. That's all it really is. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But it was a little challenge with the horn players because I wrote everything in E flat, and then they had to it was hard for them to kind of transpose it in a way. It took a little time, but
Sure.
we got it worked out.
So the lyrics of these songs, are they personal to you, or are they stories and fictional characters you make?
Yeah, that's all very personal stuff. Very, very.
Honestly, it sounded like it.
Yeah, definitely. So I just kind of just let it all out. Like I don't care. I'm just gonna write about whatever, you know. So
Is that a release for you to write songs, or is it something that you think needs to be captured somehow in a poem or a song?
yeah, I mean I suppose it's kind of like a journal entry or a diary entry. I could look back and then kind of look back and feel in those those emotions that I had when I wrote it, and you know, it's kind of how it is, I suppose. And when you write about something really personal, it's easy to remember when you're singing, you know, and performing it.
Sure.
So yeah, so
You also open yourself up, bringing songs to bands, first of all, is sort of a vulnerability, but when they're personal songs, tell me about that.
it's. I just try not to think about it. I hope they're not focusing on the lyrics too much, I suppose. And then I'm just honest, like, this is what it's about, you know. Yeah, I wrote the last song I played, Tammy. I mean, it's a song I wrote about Tammy Haas, who was murdered in Yankton, I think, in '92, and the case has never been solved. And I was like, this is what it's about. Like, so yeah, which is like the hardest song I ever have written. So because I didn't want to mess around with the lyrics. I mean, they had to be good, you know. So yeah,
Sure. Well, you grew up sort of in that area in Elk Point, South Dakota?
yeah.
And so around there, you get that song, Elk Point to Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
So that was obviously a personal song about the area you grew up in. How much of that is part of your songs, or is it more people?
Well, it's sometimes you're always looking for that muse or whatever to write about, and sometimes it's easy for me to like tap into maybe when I was younger, where, you know, growing up in a small town, you feel like there's just like a like a dome above it, and that's the world. And you know, you're growing up and you're a kid, and there's a lot of emotion that you have, and just discovering things. And I don't know, I tap into a lot of that when I'm writing, because yeah, that's pretty much what I do with when I'm struggling to. And then it just sometimes comes out. It's so random too.
That's
so
interesting.
Yeah.
So you almost put yourself in a place in order to finish that feel.
Yeah, there's a certain feel that I have when I think about like going when I was in high school in Elk Point. Like there's just certain emotions that I have that I can tap into, and I just write about that. I don't know, it's hard to explain.
Yeah,
but,
it's interesting. That's really cool. So, how about recording this last album? Where did you record that?
It was Jesse Logterman Studio. His name is it's like a Dutch
I was going to
last
have
name.
you say it, and I can't say it either.
Yeah, he started a studio in T, South Dakota, and then it didn't work out, and then he just moved it to his basement. Before, he would bring in different bands and stuff, and whoever just wanted to record, and then he started doing his own personal project and maybe just recording friends only. So he wrote several songs that he wanted me to write bass lines for. So I did that, and maybe tracked around in 5 or 6 songs. And then I reached out to him. I'm like, well, I got 7 I'd love to record. Maybe we can work out a deal. And so he gave me a heck of a deal for a really, really nice studio. So and it was close to my house. I live by Sanford Hospital, and he's, you know, several blocks down the hill from me. So just go to his house. And it was really, really chill. And that's what I wanted. No rush. Any band I've ever been in, it's always like a gun to your head. Like, we got to get this done. We got to get this out. Like, I didn't want that. I just wanted to be, if it would have taken 5 years, I don't care.
Yeah.
that's the fun of it, just the recording part of it to me. So yeah.
Yeah, because you're no stranger to the studio. You've been in a lot of projects, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes that whip cracking behind you, sometimes it makes it better. A lot of times it makes it worse. But it sounds like it's nice that you were able to stretch that one out.
Very chill. It's very chill.
And when it's your stuff, your songs, I mean, that matters that you're comfortable, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And did this? How many of these people? I know Adam Jones played on the record, but did the rest of this lineup play on that?
Yeah, like the horns, they played on all the songs. Adam did drum tracking on all the songs. Then he played guitar on one of the songs. So pretty much everybody, who was up here, except for Nate, I wrote my own bass lines, and then I just had him play what I wrote.
Yeah.
You know, I just reached out to Jesse, can I get the isolated bass tracks? And I was like, learn this. And then while we're practicing, I'm like really listening to him. Like, yeah, he's got him.
He sounded good.
Yeah, he's got him down. He's doing his homework. So, yeah.
So what's the future plans for this band?
I just want to put out we're going to put out a CD and do a CD release show probably the end of the summer, early fall. There's just so many, because I want everybody who tracked on it and was a part of it to play on the release show. So it's just going to take time to work out with everybody's schedules. And I think I might just do it at Total Drag and have them sell some of the CDs and whoever else, and maybe that'll just be it, you know. Yeah. So.
The White Wall Sessions is recorded at Last Stop Studios in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and is produced by Spectrum Films Incorporated. Executive producers are Jeff Zuger, Doug Taylor, Greggy Johnson, and Jay Fishback. Head of broadcast is David Palmer. Associate producer is Mike Yeager. The White Wall Sessions Radio is produced and edited by Jeff Zuger. Audio recording and mixing by Kevin Phipps, Chad Conrad, August Dahlgren, and David Palmer. Scheduling and artist relations, Tom Eisner. Be sure to join us again next week. Same time, same place.
You are listening to the White Wall Sessions Radio.